Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel and some bolt action coverage for you guys. So we're going to start a little mini series here where we're going to take a look at the basic scenarios from the core rulebook just as a quick discussion and also just to point out some things as we go. So for new and experienced players alike, but especially new players. So just a quick look at some of the types of scenarios you can field. And again, if you've looked at any of the campaign books that we've kind of briefly reviewed so far, you know, there's other ways of sort of spicing up some of the generic missions with some of the special rules in there too. So don't always feel like you have to go outside the main book for, you know, more complicated or more interesting missions. You can take a basic mission here from the book. And it's not to say anything in the book is the main book here is bad just by being in the main book, but again, as you delve deeper into bolt action, you can, again, with the campaign books and other things, get additional rules and other ways of playing the game that you can then sort of transfer back towards some of these basic scenarios that you've already been familiar with. So the very first one is called No Man's Land. So pretty simple concept here. So the two armies have been facing each other off for days now, but today, at the first light of dawn, the time has come to break the impasse. So the battle soon escalates as both sides try to crush the enemy. So set up, both players roll a die. The highest score picks a long table edge and declares which of his units, if any, are being left in reserve. This can be up to half of the units in the army, rounding down. The other player basically does the same. And then once both players have declared which units are in reserve, then they start deploying their units. Both players put an order die in the bag for every unit that's in reserve and therefore needs to be deployed. Then draw a die, and the player whose die has been drawn must deploy one of his units, at least 12, from the table middle line. Units can use the hidden setup rules and continue to do this until all units that are not in reserve have been set up. So pretty simple stuff there. Then the objective is also pretty straightforward here, right? The objective, both sides are going to try to destroy the other while preserving as much of their own forces as possible. Now, a lot of the missions in bolt action will also feature what's called a preparatory bombardment, and that's basically some initial off-board artillery, essentially hopefully connecting with the enemy to either put some pins on them or possibly also damage the enemy, which will hopefully soften them up for you. But of course, they're going to be doing the same thing here. So both players roll a die, and on a 2+, it strikes the enemy positions. We'll again review how that actually works in a separate video. But on a result of 1, it does fail to materialize. But you have your orders and you still have to go ahead and attack. So hopefully you don't flub the roll. The first turn. So the battle begins. During turn 1, visibility is limited to 24 inches. Alternatively, players may agree to use the reduced visibility rules for the Dawn Assault game. So, and there's other, again, wrinkles here. It just has a pause there. So things from other books, right? So what if this kind of battle is taking place like during winter, right? So if you look at some things from like the Eastern Front or Stalingrad, right, we could bring in, you know, harsh winter weather. What if we're in the desert or at night, right? So there's just several variations on one scenario right there. Also, you know, if this were in a city, right, we could bring in some of the city fight type rules that we see in, again, some of the campaign books for things like rubble and other inconveniences. Or, you know, what if we're in the jungles of the Pacific Theater? So other weather factors as well. And again, other combinations that you can probably come up with from that as well. So, you know, what about winter at night? Oof, that's rough. Game duration. Keep of count of how many turns have elapsed as the game is played. At the end of 6, roll a die. And on a 1, 2, 3, it ends. 4, 5, 6, you do play one more turn. At the end of the game, calculate which side has won by adding up victory points as follows. So if one side has scored at least 2 more victory points than the other, then it's a clear victory. Otherwise, it's too close to call, and it's just a draw. And basically, you get 1 victory point for every enemy destroyed. So very simple. Basically, kill the enemy, avoid losing units yourself. So quick look at the map here for it as well. So very simple setup. Basically, you know, on a typical 6x4, you have your 12-inch deployment zone with 24 inches of no man's land in the middle. But again, other specialized things may deploy up a little further, like snipers and so on and so forth. But again, that's for a different video here. So in the comments, guys, let us know some of the most memorable moments you've had from playing the scenario, but other ways of making this a little bit spicier, a little bit more interesting. So let us know your thoughts on that, guys. Hope you enjoyed a quick look here. We'll be moving on in scenario 2 to meeting engagement, so stay tuned for that. Drop us a like and subscribe if you haven't already, guys. Also, quick shout out to we finally got the ability to make posts on the channel, so check those. We're gonna try and post posts, pun intended there, pretty much every day with some additional content and things like that for you guys. So check those out when you get a chance, and hope everybody can participate in that as well. But yeah, we will see you in the next one. Thanks as always for hanging out, guys. Take care.